Let us ask the question for meditation that am I thinking, am I feeling, am I sitting? Who is doing it? And when we ask this question, the attention shifts from the experience to the knowing part. Who is the knower of the knower, the seer of the seer, hearer of the hearing? If any word is coming in our mind, then again there is a challenge. Because when we ask this question, who am I? There is a blank which comes, darkness which comes, which is good. But because we are used to words and forms, we will try to formulate something and not able to handle that emptiness and silence. So that is the meditation here. What we will see now in the further verses also. So let us put all our efforts to withdraw our attention from the experience, content of experience, and focus on knowing of this experience. These two are separate things. And let us invoke God's grace, Guru Parampara's blessings, that our attention remains and abides in this knowingness. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्याप्ति यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणी निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् शान्तिमन्त्र ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणमे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि that you are noted.
Hari Om. Hari Om, can you hear? Yeah. So, last session we completed chapter number 1, where the student has asked the question, Teneshitam padati preshitam manah. So, what is that power by whom, willed and directed, does the mind is feeling, the eyes are seeing, the ears are listening, etc. And the teacher has answered, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. So the Uttam Sadhak immediately came to know that it is not knowable, that self, that Brahman, Atman is not knowable by the senses and the mind and the intellect. But the sadhak wants to know the truth, so it has to withdraw now, it cannot use, and it realizes that it cannot be tasted, felt, smelled, heard, touched, seen, but I can be it because I am it. And the Uttam Sadhak realized. So when the teacher saw in the Gurukul that many others were present, but maybe they would have understood Shruti. That is step number 1 in realizing the truth. Step number 2 is Yukti. I have to understand the logic. So if we see here, we are giving a lot of logics to understand. That is one method. And that will lead to the third one, that is Anubhuti. So he introduces one question that we saw last time in chapter 2. That did you know Brahman? Did you understood about Brahman well? And we had discussed on this, that why this question is asked. There are a couple of reasons. One, we saw that whenever a nail is put inside the wall or a pole is put inside the earth, finally before putting something on it or using it, the fitter tests it by shaking. So here the Guru wants to test the knowledge of the students by shaking. And that's the reason this question is a very important question in the second chapter. That did you understand well? Did you know? Do you know Brahman now? So in those students, maybe some of them or one student would have said yes. Most of them would have said yes, I understood. Because it happens in many classes that during the end of the class, the teacher asks, did you understand? And if somebody says no, then other students look at, with little angry face towards the other student or ask some doubt. If the student asks some doubt, then now they say that now the teacher will explain again and again, 20 minutes gone, I have to go home. This happens in all training programs, that people don't ask questions or doubt because they feel other people will now look at me that he is still ignorant, she is still ignorant, or the person has not understood. So again, there has to be explanation. So maybe some student would have said yes, some students would have said no. We have to now look at it that way because the teacher's question is like that and the student's answer is like that later on in the second verse, which we're going to see. So main question is what? Did you know Brahman well now? So maybe some student would have said yes. So the Guru has said, if you think that you have understood or if you know Brahman well, or if you have not understood Brahman well, or if you say, I don't know, then there is a need for inquiry again. So Guru is not expecting that answer verbally. And also maybe with his power is able to see that some have understood intellectually, but also got the yukti. Shruti and yukti have happened, but anubhuti has not happened. Direct experiential knowledge is not happening. So with that background, we will see first verse where the Guru's question is there, and the second verse, which is the sixer according to Guruji's discourse on this, when he says the second verse is the sixer in this entire Kenopanishad, and one of the best answers that the student comes because the teacher has taken a surprise test and now the student has passed the surprise test. Yes, so let us chant 1 and 2 both twice.
Chapter 2. यदि मन्यसे सुवेदेति तस्त्रमेवापि नूनम् त्वं वेत्थ ब्रह्मणो रूपम् यदस्य त्वं यदस्य देवेषु अथ नु मीमांस्यमेव ते मन्ये विदितम् यदि मन्यसे सुवेदेति तस्त्रमेवापि नूनम् त्वं वेत्थ ब्रह्मणो रूपम् यदस्य त्वं यदस्य देवेषु अथ नु मीमांस्यमेव ते मन्ये विदितम् नाहं मन्ये सुवेदेति नो न वेदेति वेद च यो नस्तद्वेद तद्वेद नो न वेदेति वेद च नाहं मन्ये सुवेदेति नो न वेदेति वेद च यो नस्तद्वेद तद्वेद नो न वेदेति वेद च.
Very nice chanting. So the student says, Naham Manye Suveda. The disciple said that I do not think I know it well, nor do I think I do not know it. So, as Guruji says, the teacher has given a 4 runs, I hit a 4 boundary, and the student has hit a sixer in this. And I think we can imagine that how the Guru would have been so pleased to see the answer and smiled. He who understands this paradox actually knows it. And he who thinks he knows it not. So why this kind of question and why this kind of answer. One is that Guru wants to test. At the second also, again and again, this Kenopanishad experientially pushes us from the pointer to the pointed and not allowing us to rest at the intellectual knowledge, intellectual understanding, because many of the sadhaks wait there for long. And then there is till Dukrun Karne. Dukrun Karne means getting into Sanskrit, getting into a lot of things, and then not having that anubhuti, not going for that anubhuti in this life itself. So to push the sadhak, to motivate the sadhak, or to inspire the sadhak now to move from pointer to pointed, this question is asked. And now this sadhak, what this is a literal translation. Now we will see what this sadhak does. The student who has given this answer goes, because teacher has told that you have to go and inquire. So goes into solitude, sits quietly and inquire. Now this is what is, as Swamiji mentions, is that we do not do. We are doing Shravan after Shravan. One Shravan after another Shravan of different topics. So that depth of these words will be missed out, and we will not experience where these words leads us. So when the student went in the solitude for Manan, realized that the Guru had said that Brahman is different than known and beyond the unknown in the first chapter. So how could I say to him that I know Brahman? How did I answer? Because some student would have answered it. I know Brahman. But these are all real cases. Huh? Many sadhaks come to this conclusion. Now I know it. One sadhak went to Swamiji and told, after 1 year, I know Brahman now. What did you understand? I am Brahman. What about others? Others are Murkha. Swamiji told, no, you have to go and do more inquiry now. If this is your understanding about you and others, then there is more inquiry required. So suddenly that student realized with one's own experience now, the Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti happened for this student. And then the student replied that, realized that I am Brahman. And when I realize that I am the seeker and the sought both, I cannot say I know and I cannot say I do not know. Both become invalid. Because the moment I say I know literally, then it becomes the object of experience. And when I say I do not know, then again it will be something unknowable or beyond knowing, beyond unknown, which is not. So the disciple now hits the sixer and declares that neither do I not know, nor do I know. So now when in English language or any language, when two contradictory statement comes together, we have to analyze. Because we have seen this earlier, that suppose you ask somebody that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Yes or no? Now the answer will be yes and no also. Both. Now both contradictory answers are coming together. I do not know and nor do I know. Both are coming together. So when that is there, so in the first example again, maybe if you are thinking on sun, that sun rises in the east and sets in the west is a perception known through the eyes, perception. But through knowledge of science, I know sun never rises and sun never sets. It is only because of the earth movement. So both yes and no are valid. So how come one can say in the same breath, I do not know it well, but I know it? So we have to analyze this. So statement number one is that I cannot say I know it, because Brahman cannot be known like an object. This again and again and again and again we have to repeat, because mind is such that it will not be able to cognize something which is beyond name, form, words, etc. It will be making as an object. Because right now also when I say that, oh, I understand Brahman, I know all the lakshanas, Swarup Lakshan, Tatastha Lakshan, I know all words, I know definition, but still it is at the mind level, which has formed a concept, which has formed into words and names. Not like knowing a book, knowing a concept, knowing a pot. Because in knowing the pot, the known and the knower are different. Why? Because Brahman is myself. Statement 2, nor do I think I do not know it. It is not totally unknown either, because I am Brahman. So how can I say I am not there? How can I say I do not know myself? Now, I may say I do not know myself because we have never got interested into this I. Because our interest is so much into experience, what this I is doing, the focus has to shift from the experience to I. So I remember Swami Advainanji has said once that, not that without scriptures I know that I am. Very important statement. If you ask any layman, the person on the road who has never encountered any scriptures, that person would say, yes, I know that I am. But what scriptures only tell us, what is that nature of I? That is what scriptures tell. So all the scriptures only tell one thing, that what is that nature of I? That's all. But I know I am by experience. But I do not know its nature, and I'm not experiencing its nature as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Sat, Chit, Ananda, infinite bliss. I'm not experiencing. Second, self is always self-evident. I cannot say I'm not there. In the sleep also, I cannot say after getting up from sleep that I was not there in sleep. Because the self experiences presence of objects, emotions, thoughts, world in the waking state, and the self experiences absence of the world, thoughts, emotions, feelings in the deep sleep. So it's not absence of the self, it is that the self experiences the absence. But there is an experience of absence, there is an experience of presence in the waking state. But self is always self evident. This paradoxical understanding that Brahman is never an object of knowledge, never absent, and it is always self evident, self revealing as I. The word what we have given to this Brahman, Atman, actually, Atman in Sanskrit, the literal translation is I. So the word what we have created for this is I. That is the tag. That is one I. So that I cannot say I do not know, and I cannot say I know it also. So this again and again, this Kenopanishad is pointing out. So what is the analogy we can take here to understand? Suppose we ask this question, can your eye see? Now again, it is the same question where we have to say both answers contradictory in one breath. No, they cannot see themselves as an object. Yes, they can illumine and see everything. So same with Brahman, same with this I, same with this Atman. that it is the knower of all but cannot be turned into a known object. And this is where, as I mentioned, Kenopanishad becomes very, very experiential here, meditative, because I have to just shift the attention. Attention is in between. One side it is Atma, self, one side it is world or experience. Now the attention is completely on one side, that is Idam, and the attention has to shift to Aham. The verse protect us from two traps. This verse, that's the reason this verse is very well known, very popular, very famous, and liked by many, many scholars who have done Chintan and Bhashya on this verse. It saves us from intellectual arrogance that I know spirituality now. I know. Because the moment I know, there will be silence. We are going to discuss this in the third verse now. I understand everything about Brahman. This arrogance, this intellectual abhiman is destroyed by this particular question and answer. And the second trap, which is Buddhism took, or some people say that if cannot be known, this is very important to understand and pay attention. It is called as spiritual nihilism. Means if I cannot know it, that means there is nothing. I'll repeat. If I cannot know it, then there is nothing. And that is what Buddhism said, that, or it kept quiet. So nihilism means truth is nothingness. No, but there is a knower of nothingness. Who knows that nothingness? So I know nothing, so it is knowable, unknowable. That is what is the conclusion which some of the scholars came. So it avoids these two traps, that it is knowable, but it is unknowable. I cannot say I know it, but I cannot say I cannot know it also. The truth is beyond both. That's the reason Kenopanishad, the tagline is self, different from known, beyond unknown, on the tagline of this book. This student has realized in this Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Now there is Anubhuti, that yes, it is beyond both. So I must not strive to look into this thinking, feeling, seeing, tasting, etc., etc. And if I withdraw the attention, attention is the mind, towards the self, then we will see the process given in the further verses, third and fourth. The entire result and process is given. How to do it. So we will go to mantra number 2.3, which is actually the reinforcement of 2.2. Again, and that why it is again, because it is very, very important. And one more point we will see here, if you are reading Gurudev's commentary in detail, word by word, with a quiet mind, we will pick up 2-3 pointers from this, what Gurudev has given commentary on this 2.3 verse as such. Yeah, Vidya, can we chant this?
Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na veda saha avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na veda saha avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam.
So, he by whom Brahman is not known as an object knows it. He by whom it is known knows it not. It is not known by those who know it. It is known by those who do not know it. So why? Because we had discussed this point in the first mantra. We had given distinctions of, sometimes we'll take a separate session on distinctions, because to understand this mantra, and if you read Gurudev's commentary, we will take those portions and then elaborate. So we had mentioned there are distinctions must be known. Shuddha Chaitanya, Sakshi Chaitanya, Chidabhasa, Ahankara, Aham Vritti, Idam Vritti. These five things we must know clearly when we utter those words. Pure consciousness, witnessing consciousness, then reflected consciousness, then ego. Because when we have this English terminology coming in, the confusion starts because we start relating to it. The I notion, this notion, I am this notion, I am notion. So what Pujya Gurudev has mentioned on this verse, we will say otherwise it's the same reinforcement of the 2.2. So we will read and see three important points, very, very important. The difficulty felt by the disciple is, this is exact words from Gurudev's commentary, at the moment of perfect God consciousness, there is no I-ness left to perceive it as an object. And the moment he is aware of his I-ness, he is not experiencing the state of Godhood. Second sentence. In the egoless state of God consciousness, there cannot be the seer other than the seer. Where that's the reason that question we had taken in the earlier session of the Mahavakya Aham Brahmasmi, that who knows? Because this question is what? If you say you know, you do not know. If you say you do not know, you know. So who knows? Finally, this is a topic which is taken in many, many texts, that how would I know that I am realized? Because with this, what you are telling me that I may not know only. How would I know that I am realized? Who will know what? Who will know whom? So what is mentioned by Gurudev here is given in detail in Panchadashi chapter 5. Mahavakya Vivek, which is a very small chapter where 4 Mahavakyas are analyzed. And it is very beautiful commentary by Guruji, where it is clearly mentioned that the Aham, because in earlier Upanishads we have said, Om Brahmavid apnoti param, the knower of Brahman attains supreme. So who is that knower? So here when we analyze Aham, so there are 3 words in this: Aham, Brahma, Asmi. So here it is very clear that Aham is not the Ahankar, but the Sakshi Chaitanya, because it has been written there in detail, the ego has to dissolve to realize Brahman. When the ego dissolves, the Ahankar dissolves, what remains? The witness conscious realizes that it is pure conscious. This is all again words, play of words, but technically for us to understand, because when many people, they say Aham Brahmasmi, but they say Aham cannot become Brahman, because Aham, when we say and relate to Ahankar, it is limited. And that Aham which says that I am BMI cannot say that I am Brahman, because it has to dissolve. As Kabir Das ji says, Jahan मैं है Hari nahi, Jahan Hari hai मैं nahi. Both cannot coexist. But another text also say, process that before the I dissolves, ego, because in the yogic culture this is given, that before the I dissolves, when it becomes pure, when it becomes concentrated, then that I reflects completely, and that is that bliss is there. That's the reason Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, that's the reason Dvait philosophy says that I do not want to dissolve. I do not want to dissolve only. I do not want to become one. I want to be two only. Because who enjoys the madhu in the flower? Not the flower, but the bee. So who enjoys the bliss? When we say, oh, that is infinite bliss, but the Brahman who is infinite bliss is bliss only. So we have to pay attention and reflect on it. It is a meditative text. It is an experiential text. And our mind must shift from that and go into this. So that's the reason these are all sentences from Gurudev's commentary on this 2.3 mantra to give us a point that this point comes in all sadhaks journey. This question will come when I am meditating, that the seeker is the sought and the mind will not be able to grasp it till the end, because mind cannot grasp it only. And that is a transcendence from knowing and not knowing to being. From knowing and not knowing to being. Because when I say I know Brahman, there is a trap. When I say I do not know Brahman, there is a trap. So it is a beingness. So we'll go to 2.4. This is a very, 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 very famous mantra. The second line is very, very famous. So we are going to analyze it in more detail. And the first word, which is the key, if I get this word, it has been said that our journey is very easy. So we have to focus on first word, and a lot of analysis Bhashyakar has done. Pratibodh Viditam. And very, very famous line which is there in the second line of this particular mantra, Atmana Vindate Viryam Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. This is a very famous verse. We will see what it means and what is the analysis of this. Yeah, Vidya.
प्रतिबोधविदितं मतम् अमृतत्वं हि विन्दते आत्मना विन्दते वीर्यं विद्यया विन्दते अमृतम् प्रतिबोधविदितं मतम् अमृतत्वं हि विन्दते आत्मना विन्दते वीर्यं विद्यया विन्दते अमृतम्.
Very nice. So now this Pratibodha Viditam, this is the answer to the question what the sadhak has asked. What is the question in the first verse? Kene Shitam? By whom? By what? Willed and directed. Now this is the answer, and they say that scriptures say that if we know this word and focus on this word and understand this word and ponder on this word, our journey towards realization is very, very easy. We are very close to it. So, pratibodhitam, pratibodha viditam, matam, amrutatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amrutam. So, we'll now, first we are going to talk about, for I think today, only one word we will be discussing. Second line we will take later on, because this calls for a lot of analysis and understanding. Pratibodha viditam. Beautiful word. So what the literal meaning says, Brahman is known when it is realized in every experience. Now please, we have to note down every word. For by such knowledge one attains immortality. So why this importance come here? Because scripture is saying, Upanishad is saying, once I get this knowledge, immortality is not far off. It is there only. By Atman, here Atman means mind. Atmana vindate viryam. We will see both meanings. When we suppose say Atman as mind, by mind one attains strength, by knowledge one attains immortality. Atmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amrutam. So here is a complete verse, goal, process, result is given. Important mantra methodology is given to practice. How to practice this? What is the meditation given here? So now very importantly here, why this pratibodha is very important to analyze. Pratibodha viditam. Because earlier it was said that Brahman is different than known and above unknown. Anya deva. So there is a difference that this is not Brahman and this is Brahman. Now we have to pay attention. Whatever you are believing, those gods and everything, that is not Brahman. So when we actually come to Vedanta, we are given Vivek. Vivek means Atma, Anatma, Vivek. This is not Atma. This is Anatma. This is not Atma. This is Anatma. Panchakosha is Anatma. Sthula Sukshma Sharira Vyatiriktam. That is Atma. So we have to pay attention now. This is a very, very important verse because this is where the confusion happens. And in this Upanishad also, Anyadeva Tad Viditam. So that God, what you are believing, that is not Brahman. But now what you are saying is that Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amrutam Amrutatvam Hi Vindate. That means through every experience, one who knows it is Brahman is the ultimate knowledge. But somewhere earlier you said that this is not Brahman, this is Brahman, and now you are saying everything is Brahman. So now there is a contradiction we have to understand. And now you are saying Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So I hope this is very clear. See Brahman in every experience, thought, perception, emotion in objects. That is what it has been mentioned. How to do that? And why you are telling this now? When you are earlier told that this is not God, this is not Brahman, this is not that. And now you are saying that everything is Brahman. So now, those who are writing, do not write. We can practice some meditation here. Meditation means analysis of this mantra. So let us start with our experience because Pratibodha Viditam means what? So let us start with our experience. What is an experience? Right now, suppose we ask you. Experience is experience of seeing, experience of tasting, experience of smelling, experience of hearing, experience of touching. That is the experience only what is available for us that we call as experience. So that is point number 1. And we cannot deny, yes, right now I am having experience of all. That's all. Experience of seeing, experience of tasting, experience of... Very tangible here. So now this is a turning point here when we say Pratibodha Viditam. There is an experience of presence and absence, Bodha Vritti Janya. There is a Bodha happening. Now we have to pay attention, take a deep breath and release. So there is an experience happening every moment. In deep sleep also, in waking sleep also, in dream state also. Point number 1. Point number 2, which is where this Pratibodha Viditam coming, is that the second point is that there is knowing of this experience happening. So there are two things, experience and knowing of the experience. I know that I am experiencing. There is a knowledge happening. There is knowing of the experience. Correct or no? Right now you can check. I am listening experience is happening, but I am knowing the listening experience, knowing the listening of experience of listening. I am seeing the mobile phone and the words, but I know there is a knowing also there. What makes it knowing? This knowing is consciousness. Every cognition, bodha, is illumined by this cognition, by this consciousness. Hari Om, I'll repeat. There are two things in simple word. There is an experience happening. What is the definition of experience? Experience of seeing, experience of hearing, experience of tasting, experience of smelling, experience of touching. Point number 1. I am aware of this experience. Point number 2. There is knowing of this experience. So there are two things. Experience and awareness. Experience and consciousness. Experience and knowing. in simple English language, knowing of this experience. And that illumining principle of the object, emotion, thought is experience, is the witness consciousness. Right now, what has happened is that my entire attention is on the experience. So, one question I have to ask, right now I can ask, and whether you want it or no, as Ramana Maharshi says, this will take the entire mind into an upside down. That is a meditative statement. The meditative statement is, yes, I am experiencing point number one, and immediately I have to introduce another one. Am I aware of the experience? Am I aware of the experience? I don't have to say yes, because the whole mind is going through and focusing on awareness now. Same power of question like, who am I? What is happening to the I? Now the point is not, that point is not taken. Who am I who is experiencing this? It comes to that. The mind will immediately shift the attention to that. And that is where the meditation happens in day-to-day life. So now, Pratibodha Viditam Matam means this illumined, witness consciousness illumines every bodha. And once I know, I realize that everything is Brahman. I can never say I am not, nor I am not aware. My natural experience is what? I am aware, I am dear to myself. I am the illuminator, I am the witness of known. Unknown is defined as Pratibodha Viditam Matam. In every knowing, Brahman is present as the knower. And that's the reason Pratibodha Viditam means my experience shifts from the experiencer is different than experiencing or experienced to only one thing, that there is this consciousness which is pervading the thought, emotion, object, and the world. So we'll see the stages, how it goes. This is the answer to the original question, Om Kene Chitam Padati Preshitam Manaha. In every experience, I can know that there is a knowing principle, and that knowing principle is consciousness, Brahman, because of which I know the thought, because of which it illumines the thought, it illumines the feeling, it illumines the object, it illumines the senses, it illumines the world. So in every experience, that's the reason our saints who say that one person went to Ramana Maharshi and asked how to deal with others. He told, there are no others. There are no others. Everything is Brahman. Upanishad does not reveal Brahman, but removes the ignorance which clouds this illumination. Now, what is coming in between? My attention is coming in between. My mind is coming in between. And then it, because it is involved into experience, the attention has to shift from the experience to what is illumining the experience. So now that is the beauty, that is the, what do you call, benefit, because when the attention shifts from the experience to the awareness, the consciousness, that is where infinite happiness, infinite joy is there. And the mind slowly start experiencing it and realizes that the happiness is not there in object, world, emotion, thought. So it slowly starts coming here, and then it abides in it and then dissolves. And then the witness consciousness, Aham Brahmasmi. So we will analyze more on this word again next class. Pratibodha Viditam Matam. This is the very important word of this Kenopanishad, which directly gives the answer to the first question. What illumines? Who is conscious? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।